In May of 1874, Father Joseph Dabrowski requested the Felician sisters be sent to the United States to minister among the Polish immigrants. At the General Chapter in August, this request was unanimously accepted. After a night of celebration and prayer, and with the blessing of Mother Mary Magdalene, the Superior General, 5 sisters began this journey on October 24th, the feast of Saint Raphael, the patron saint of travelers. Leaving Poland by train, they went to Berlin and on to Hamburg, where they boarded an English steamer that took them to Scotland. Finally, on Sunday, October 31st, they boarded the SS Ethiopia and embarked on their memorable 14-day transatlantic journey. The Ethiopian came into the port of New York on November 13th. They debarked at Castle Garden, the American Immigration Center, from 1855 until 1890. On November 16th, the sisters left New York by train for the last phase of the trip. They arrived in Milwaukee, where they waited a day for the next train to Stevens Point, the closest railway station to Polonia. From Stevens Point to Polonia, they arrived by horse cart. The sisters arrived in Polonia around sundown, and as Sister Cajetan later recalled, as we were arriving, we strained to see the welcoming procession and the lights and to hear the music, but all was silent. Only the Angelus bell greeted us. Because their telegram had not reached him, Father Dabrowski was not expecting the sisters and even feared that they might have gone down at sea. He was delighted at their arrival, greeting them with joy, giving no excuses for his work clothes and the wood shavings in his hair. Who were these women who, by the grace of God, arrived in Polonia, Wisconsin, on the eve of the Feast of the Presentation, the founding day of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Felix of Cantalis?
I was born in 1824 into a wealthy family in Warsaw, and I was educated at the Warsaw Institute of Madame Guerin, where my keen intelligence first manifested itself. I was invested with the Felician habit after the death of my husband and after raising my son. I was known for my strong personality, my leadership ability, and my unquestioned courage, all of which made me the logical choice for superior of the North American group. I began this new adventure at age 50. Under my leadership, the Felician community took root on North American soil, and the education and care of children developed with great strides. In 1887, I initiated the American Felicians into the healthcare apostolate by erecting and staffing a 10-bed hospital in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Simultaneously, 2 other projects took root there: an orphanage and a home for the aged. Felician Village still operates on that site today. I served in many roles during my years in America: as novice director, administrator, financial manager, and province superior from 1884 until 1894. As provincial superior of the first North American province, I forged ahead in ministerial pursuits and saw to it that the sisters were zealous in their observance of the Felician Constitution and the Franciscan rule. In 1882, I transferred the Mother House from Polonia, Wisconsin, to a more centralized location in Detroit, Michigan. By the end of my 20-year period of administration in America, The congregation numbered 300 sisters, staffing 30 missions in 9 states. During the last 2 years of my life, I became totally blind and referred to myself as the faithful dog, since I needed to be guided around the mother house in my wheelchair. Finally, at the age of 87, I went home to the Lord, and my body was interred in Mount Elliott Cemetery in Detroit.
I was born in Warsaw in 1839 and raised in affluent and cultured family surroundings. I entered the Felician Sisters at the age of 28, with several years of teaching experience and a teacher's diploma. At the age of 35, I crossed the Atlantic Ocean on a mission to develop and manage the parochial school system in the Polish settlements. I was known for my very active but gentle character. I was skillful in developing public relations and quite successful in soliciting funds. Along with Father Dombrowski, we drew up the first school curriculum for parochial schools and compiled, edited, and printed school books for children. I organized a system for the professional training of future religious teachers. In 1888, as supervisor of schools and prefect of studies, I headed a commission of sisters, guided by Father Dombrowski, who drew up a syllabus of studies for grade schools. This syllabus, with some revisions, was in use until 1936. Although I was concerned with proper teaching techniques and methods, I always emphasized the importance of the teacher's personal influence on the soul of a child. I believe the true mission of a religious teacher is to mold good character by bringing little ones to Christ. I work to overcome bigotry among Catholic immigrants. The anti-religious and anti-Polish mood of the times prompted me to prepare Poles for American citizenship. This extended my work to evening classes in English, civics, and the history of the United States. I believe the sisters felt my compassion as I listened to their concerns and needs, especially during my term of office as Provincial Superior. As Provincial Superior in 1907, I returned to Poland as an American delegate to the General Chapter held in Krakow. There I was elected General Counselor, but my services were cut short on December 9, 1907, while making a retreat. I died at the age of 68, a victim of influenza. My remains were buried in Polish soil.
I was born in 1841 in Galicia, Poland, to a family of modest means. I received my habit on the eve of starting for America, which occurred on the feast of Saint Raphael. I made my novitiate and took my vows on American soil. I have been described as totally dedicated, with childlike simplicity and deep reverence for authority. Much of my religious life in America was spent in household duties. My expertise in domestic arts and management made me quite an asset to the community. I almost miraculously stretched money and provisions. When the first province was established in Detroit, I was appointed portress. For 30 years, I answered the portal and dispensed Felician charity to visitors and callers. I found joy in being able to serve to the end. I died at age 81, and my body was buried in Mount Olivet Cemetery in Detroit, Michigan.
I was born in 1851, the youngest of the 5 sisters to come to America. I was only 23 years old when we left Poland. People have described me as being untouched by time and frustration, unclouded by failure and fear. I was assigned to domestic operations, but also assisted in child care and fundraising efforts. But I aspired to full-time involvement in healthcare services. So, in 1888, I transferred to the Sisters of the Holy Family of Nazareth in Chicago. As a Nazareth sister, I was known as Sister Mary Salomea, and served as a pharmacist and administrator of a number of hospitals. I died at age 85, and my body is buried in St. Adalbert Cemetery in Niles, Illinois.
I was born to wealthy parents in 1843. I was a first cousin to Father Dabrowski. During the cholera epidemic in 1871, I was one of 4 sisters who, at our own risk, nursed cholera victims at the hospital. I staunchly believed in the providence of God, and I considered my ministry as sacred. I was, however, the one most challenged by life on the frontier. Besides teaching in the schoolrooms of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan, I held a variety of responsibilities for internal convent ministries. I served as a provincial counselor in Detroit and later in Buffalo. I was the first Golden Jubilarian among the Felicians in America. I died in Buffalo at the age of 80, and my body was buried in St. Stanislaus Cemetery in Buffalo, New York. Women of vision, women of courage, women who were our foundation in North America. As you reflect on this period in Felician history and on these women trailblazers and their experiences, what are your thoughts?